Hey everybody, welcome to the Halloween edition of Easy Tarot Lessons. I'm Dusty White. Mandy and Sharon are here today. Mandy's going to tell us a spooky tale. Ooh. So this is a warning that this could happen to you. So we'll keep this short, but remember, go to Easy Tarot Lessons and get yourself an education so that you can screw up your life just like Mandy did, and take it away, Mandy. Oh, by the way, what city do you live in, Mandy?
Cambridge.
Right, now, there's a place there. It's older than Harvard. What is a?
Yes.
It's like
Cambridge,
a university, right?
just a bit, yeah. Cambridge University, world famous.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of famous. A lot of people come all over the world there. Now, you read in the Cambridge marketplace.
I do, yeah.
And,
in the middle. Yes.
Yeah, and you're kind of a fixture there. So we have worked, again, kids, listen carefully. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to do this for you, but this is what we do with our students. Kind of made Mandy, we got her off of the psychic phone lines, trained her, helped her out. She, of course, she did all the work herself. It is all about Mandy. But she's quickly becoming the Cambridge psychic. Now, so she's just doing her thing, and why are we talking about this university?
Well, the big moment arrived for me where I got, through my website, an email asking me to come to one of the Cambridge University colleges to do a very big, massive corporate event, reading tarot. There was going to be 150 guests at this event. I doubt whether I would have got through them all, but I don't know. But I was so excited to see this.
And okay, so this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They're all high rollers. They're all well-educated. They're all coming for a good time. And this is your hometown.
Yes.
And they're like, ooh, hey, this is Mandy, the Cambridge psychic.
Yeah.
Kind of like what's her name? Called herself the Salem witch, except you really are the Cambridge psychic. So, chance of a lifetime, super opportunity, everything's going well, you're invited. So, of course, naturally, your response was a two-letter word that begins with...
Oh.
No.
No.
No, right? Yeah. Oh, no. Sharon, can we just disown her now? Can we fly to Cambridge and say, hi, my name's Mandy. I'll be your reader for Halloween. I when you told me this during a private lesson,
I know.
My head exploded.
I know. Basically,
I demanded that we get this out on public.
Yes, I mean, the reason I had to turn it down was because I was already booked at that exact moment in time to do Mrs. Bubbles.
Oh.
Yeah.
But not just any Mrs. Bubbles.
No, it was a very big Christmas party in London that I do every year. I've done it every year for the last, I don't know how many years. It's a regular client. It's been booked for months and months and months, and it was just totally at the same time as this event at Cambridge University, where I could have just turned up with my tarot deck instead of having to lug a full carload of equipment all the way to London. And oh my God, I was gutted, to be honest.
Okay, so I would like you to go to Oxford and bang on the door and have them change the dictionary definition of first world problems to this, right?
and put her picture under popular.
Yeah. So look,
that's
kiddies,
awesome.
It was
why we do this. Yeah.
It truly was the most high, whatever, I don't know what the word is, I've got a bit brain dead. It was the greatest request I've ever had yet as a tarot reader, without doubt.
Oh, and it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
I think I'm permanently scarred. I have PTSD. Quick, somebody call me an ambulance chaser.
And imagine if I'd have got reviews from it, testimonials from it. Do you know what I mean?
Do you have to rub salt in my wounds? So I'm taking applications for new students who actually follow their teacher's advice after we build them up to be famous. But I wanted this story out there because I want you guys to really benefit from everything we're doing. We have tons of free lessons, and we've got a full-on academy. It takes about 10 months, and we will train you all the way from absolute beginner to professional, and then we will train you beyond that. We have live study groups. We meet several times a week. You don't have to show up several times a week, but we are reaching out to have as many groups as possible so that we can have. I want to reach the point where there's always a group. Like literally, you just go, oh my God, I need a group right now. Blam, somewhere in the world, there's a group. We'll get you on Skype. EasyTarotLessons.com. This is what we do. You can even start for $1. If you haven't done it, you're insane. Why not? We even and both the books are now in ebook format. So we're doing everything we can to help you. And as you see, Mandy is just one of our examples of how we take care of our students. So that being said, Sharon, do you have any sagely advice or sad snarls for Mandy?
I would write to them and tell them when your Mrs. Bubbles gig is scheduled for next year, and I bet you money they'll reschedule their party next year to make sure they've got you because you're freaking awesome.
That's very nice of you to say so, Sharon. But
let them know. Let them know that you have that big schedule
or better yet,
every year.
Tell them, hey, New Year's is coming up. Book me then.
Oh yeah.
What's that? Say that
New
again.
Year's. I said New Year's is coming up. Write them and tell them, book me them.
Well,
I'm worth it. No, this is.
So when I responded, I did actually phone her to respond rather than just send an email saying I can't do it. And I said, oh no, I'm so gutted. And if anything else comes up at any other events throughout the year, please do get in touch because I would so love to have done it. So I did actually speak to her personally, but there wasn't much else I could do.
No, I understand. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
What did you say, Sharon? All right.
That personally speaking to her did a lot.
Yeah, and that's a very nice touch. I think that's
yeah. It was one of those horrible feelings when you just sort of think, that's it. This is the end of this. There is no solution to this particular thing. They're not going to change their big event.
They will next year.
They've got millions of dollars.
The Mrs. Bubbles booking is not going to kind of budge. That's for sure. So I just had to accept I can't be in two places at once.
Yeah, but now they know that you're really popular and you're in demand, and they're gonna want you even more.
Yeah.
Yay, we can hope. So, kiddies, work hard, study your tarot, so we can have this kind of first world problem for you too. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. That's the moral story. That's to let you know this is real and unrehearsed. We do this all the time. And again, we're here to help. Give me $1. I want my $2. I want my $1. $1 first month. That's it. Try us out. Now, advertisement is over. I do want to let everybody know that we have a wide variety, a wide selection of tarot party games available in the old podcasts. Go to easytarotlessons.libsyn.com, or if you can't spell that because I never can, just go to iTunes, Easy Tarot Lessons, or the easiest way to learn the tarot ever, either one. two different podcasts. It just worked out that way. And search for tarot party games. We've got tons of them, and listen, boom, you're good to go. We have some stuff in the Black Book, which is Advanced Tarot Secrets. You could get that, I suppose, on Amazon and have that in ebook format and be playing tonight if we get the podcast up in time. So tarot party games, absolutely, always a holiday favorite. But today, since people have been asking about when are you guys going to get back into cards, we just did this set, didn't we? We did the Why the Tower is Your Best Friend, BFF.
Yes.
Yes, that was great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you were on vacation.
I wasn't there for that one. Yeah, but I listened to it. It was brilliant.
Weren't you at a fair or something?
I was at Alton Towers Scarefest, yes. It was fantastic, yes.
And did you go as a guest or did you go as a gig?
No. I just went there, for a little break with my family, and yeah.
So it's the first time you're not actually working the gig. Nice.
Yes, I could have like maybe done that gig if it had been that night, but never mind. Yeah, no, it was good.
Right, great. So let's see. Oh, and we have a very, very special set of cards coming up next week that I don't want to give any surprise about, but you'll definitely want to catch the next episode. We have two extremely important tarot cards, so we're going to show you something I don't think you will find anywhere else. And of course, absolutely free, as tarot lessons should be, when we don't have to do things like pay the rent. So I would like to discuss as a kind of a preview of what we're doing next week. I'd like to take a quick discussion between you guys about the Magician and the High Priestess and the World tarot cards. That would be number 1, number 2, and number 21. How are they different? And how are they the same? What do they have in common? So I know, but I want to see if you guys remember your schooling, and if we can enlighten our wonderful listeners with some things that will help them really understand these particular 3 tarot cards more in depth than simply memorizing meanings or some kind of fool's journey or Kabbalistic numerological formula. All of this is crap that's been added to the tarot. So, who wants to begin?
I know with the Magician and the World, I remember a lesson you gave where it just kind of made my head explode, where you were talking about the Magician and the World. I'm leaving out the High Priestess right now because I actually don't know where she fits in this schematic. But you said that the Magician was the Alpha and the World was the Omega, that he was on the ground, that he was
Very
of the
nice.
world. And, he was doing the as above, so below, channeling the energy from above to his place where she was the energy. She didn't even have to touch the ground.
He is a conduit, the commonplace or the peasant understanding is as above, so below. And this is one of the greatest mistakes in the tarot, and this is where you can find out if your, quote, tarot expert actually knows what they are doing. He's not doing the as above, so below thing. That is, in mystery schools, we have a facade where it's like a stage magician. Here, look at this. Don't look over here. And the whole point of a mystery school is to find the students who have the ability to look beyond the facade and see the depth. So the facade is the as above, so below. But you did mention it properly. He is, and if anybody listening, just pull up on your phone if you want a picture of the Magician card. You'll see exactly what we're talking about. He's holding the double-ended candle, which means he's reaching into the ether. He's doing something impossible, something that cannot possibly exist, because yes, you could make a double-ended candle, but the flames are burning as if each side was the top as far as gravity is concerned. So visually speaking, and the whole point of this is that double-ended candle is a metaphor. It's not a wand. It's a metaphor for him literally reaching into the divine, reaching into the ether and scooping out metaphysical energy. He is a conduit. Anybody who's ever studied wizardry is like, oh my God, they totally get it. If they haven't seen that before, and he's not pointing at the ground, because he's not going, look, as above, so below. That's literally like Magic 101. We move well beyond that with a magician. He is a conduit. That is the key. He's wearing the white robes of purity and the red overcloak or whatever, overrobes, whatever you call it, of action, of passion, of intent, all of these things. So he is a visual metaphor for the various parts of manifestation, and he is a conduit channeling divine, clear, pure energy down into the earth. So he is a card of manifestation, and quote the magician, and yes, people get obsessed with that. It's a good thing, it's a very valuable card. And what Sharon said was he has all the tools in front of him. So the wand, the cup, the sword, and the coin, or pentacle, are symbols of the element. They are references to the elements. So he has his tools at his disposal, much like an alchemist, to access the divine and to harness the power of the four elements. Now, the world literally is the fifth element, and the four seraphim that surround her are the avatars, or the
living embodiments.
Yeah, living. I was going to go with the other word that begins with A, but I like yours better. I like yours. The living embodiments of the elements. So again, he's the alpha. He's the lowest form of scum. He is the lowest form of human evolution, and then she is the ultimate form of evolution. Now, there's a whole bunch more that we go into in this comparison in the school that I'm not going to go into. But you'll learn for $1. Like, that's not much of a commitment. But I'll say things to validate this: the Vessia Pisces or ovum, slightly different thing, but you'll see it there if you look close enough. The wreath, the fact that she is in a portal, the fact that she is unchained, unclothed, unbound, unfettered by all of the stuff that he is grounded to. So she is the ultimate evolution. So he is literally the initiate on the first steps of his path, and she is the symbol of enlightenment. And of course, in this harkens back to medieval and even some Renaissance art. When they drew a male character, often, depending how important that figure was, it would have been a famous male, king, duke, nobility. Would have been someone recognizable or somebody honored, When it was a female, it was usually an allegory for virtue or something. So all of this goes into it. So yes, the simple version for non-students is he's the alpha, she's the omega. He is the here and the now. Good manifestation card, but he's really stuck on the ground. She is an easier way to put it for neo-pagans is he is the equivalent of a male witch. Doesn't have to be male, female, but he is a visual allegory of a witch. They cast circles, right? She, in the world, is the equivalent of the fairy. They are magic. Where do you think the circles come from for the witches to cast? So the fairies want to play, and so they invite these humans who are interested in interacting with nature rather than just watching TV and being on Facebook or back in the day, whatever. So that's a little bit more of a yeah.
Could we say that he is the conduit and she is the energy?
We could say that. And so when we look, and people might be going, what does this mean in real life? This is why we have Tarot School. When we are looking at trump cards or major arcana cards, I keep saying trump cards because the term major arcana is a complete misnomer, but if that's what people know it by, I'll call them both. So when we're looking at these quote major cards, these are more thematic. These are again, they were trump suits, nothing to do with anybody in presidential office or anything. These were like a permanent overclass of suits, just like in various games you have a trump card, like a joker in poker or anything like that, or an ace can be above the king and the queen and everything in poker, and maybe bridge or whatever. So, matter of fact, the tarot is kind of a progenitor. The tarotchi is kind of a progenitor of the American game of bridge. But they had 4 suits, and they wanted a permanent overclass suit. And then, of course, based on the number, that was like, oh, that's a higher trump. And that's how that whole thing came in. That's how the full mythos or lie began, because people came in half educated. I mean, if you're going to believe that, you might as well believe the tarot came from Egypt. So, in that sense,
isn't he conscious kind of, and High Priestess like subconscious?
Okay, yeah. So finishing up with the magician and the world, they are. Guys, it's going to take too long to explain. So you can write in, you can ask me, I will address it again. But we're going to stop here and we're going to go straight into Mandy's thing. What I was trying to do is I was trying to bring it down to earth for the non-students, so that they could actually use it in real life. Because if I say, hey, every card has to have 1,000 interpretations based on the core energy of the card, the image, the usage, divination, manifestation, brainstorming, and of course, your client, the situation, the spread you're casting, et cetera, et cetera. People who are not students, their heads can explode. Yes.
Okay, this is a very strange question. Could he be seen as perhaps not a false messiah, but false?
Yes. At some point, he's called a trickster. At some point, especially upside down. But I want to go back to Mandy's thing real quick, because otherwise we're just running around in circles forever and wasting people's time. So yes, to what Mandy said. Now, if we compare just the magician and the high priestess, you said conscious and subconscious, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's also that. So see, there's this strange symbiosis between the magician and the high priestess, and then separately the magician and the world, and to a lesser extent the high priestess and the world have their own connection, which we're not going to discuss today. So the magician and the high priestess, yes, conscious, subconscious, but more than that, and this is something we learn in astrology, being that astrology is the science behind magic. Without going and making this an astrology lecture, he represents the masculine, positive, invasive, aggressive form of energy, also called the positive polarity, and she represents the seductive, receptive polarity. So if we look at these two parts of the brain, conscious and subconscious, or if we want to look at this as they are both parts of metaphysics, in the sense that he is the manifestation card, she is the divination card. So he is the broadcaster, she is the receptor. So when
if they came up in a reading and I was asking, like, how should you sort of progress with this situation, and he came up, I would say sort of take some sort of mindful, conscious action. Whereas if she came up, I would say just go with what your gut is telling you.
I would go even further. I would say, because these are serious, heavy-duty cards. These are major Arcana cards. So I would go even further and say, with the magician, staying with the same question you said, people can reverse and rewind if they want to catch that. I would say, take direct action. Exercise your, quote, make it happen power. Embrace the essence of the thing, psychically, physically, and go in like a bull in a china shop. Not necessarily overtly, not necessarily be belligerently, but internally, you need to channel your make it happen power. You need to go in as if you own the place, and when we talk to God and we say, no, this is unacceptable, I need my rent paid next Friday, you're going to help me do it. This is time to demand, not time to beg, not time to look around for answers. The magician really is all about use the tools at your disposal, which is pretty much all of reality. But this is not a situation that is going to be solved by physical labor or even intellectualism. This is something that's going to be solved by force of will and through divine assistance that is directed by you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now compare that to the High Priestess. Keep everything the same, except imagine that you're sitting in the lotus position and you are just drawing in. You're saying, I need answers. You're still being insistent. You're not just going, okay, maybe I'll just wait around and see if something happens. You're still being forceful, insistent, and intent, and with intent. But it's a kind of a gentler feel, because what you're doing is you're pulling at all of these little strings. You're just kind of teasing the answer into you, because if you yank too hard, you'll end up becoming more like the magician. You'll end up with that masculine bullish energy. So what we're doing is we're like a giant vacuum. We're just like sucking everything, and we're pulling, maybe not a vacuum, maybe more like gravity. We're just pulling everything into us psychically. We're like reaching out, and with our magic antenna, we're just like, you can actually do this with your fingers. You reach out and just like you're pulling the strings, the etheric strings of everything. Come to me, yes, come to me, little children, come to my gingerbread house. And that's literally what you're doing. You're making a gingerbread house for little runaway German children to come play in. I mean, if you think about it, that is actually a perfect metaphor for the feminine. Again, polarity has got nothing to do with physical gender of our human species. The feminine polarity or seductive gravitational pull of information assistance. So, and various other such things. So, with the priestess coming up, the answer to your question is: don't sit there helpless. Don't sit there. It's like, oh, wait for God to give you answers. It's like, no, go deep inside yourself and pull the answers and the support to you, versus going out there. And do you see that? Neither one of these is a passive card.
This this may be really far reaching, but I'm like huge into mythology, and I noticed that she has six pomegranate seeds, and I know that Demeter made a deal with Hades to get Persephone back because Persephone had eaten the six pomegranate seeds. So Demeter gets her for 6 months in the summer, and Hades gets her for 6 months in the winter.
Technically, before you go too far with that, you're close, but you've been reading the wrong stuff. We don't. There's a couple of versions of the story, so we don't know exactly how many pomegranate seeds or how long she exactly goes on. Technically, she just goes south for the winter, south of the equator. But at the time, yes, whether it was fall and winter, which would have been 6 months, or whether it had been more like, around like Samhain to Beltane. No, so a lot of the original myths have been destroyed, especially with the Apollonian rise of the Delphi temple, where the original feminine Elysian, Jesus Christ, I can't get it right. Those guys. Sorry, my vocabulary was off today. Those, I'm going to say Eleusinian mysteries were commandeered. We literally, Delphi went from the High Priestess card to the to the Magician card when the dudes had quote the temple turned into the temple of Apollo, but that's for another story. But you're very close. So I don't think that the six is like. I don't think that was inferred there. Pam wasn't that up on her mythology.
Could that indicate though that she's using her power of persuasion? You know, with the Torah, her softness, her knowledge of, she probably did some research to find out how to find those loopholes. She's got the Torah and the cross and that gentle persuasion.
No, absolutely. That could very well. If you're saying this is a possibility, then absolutely.
Yeah.
But we have to have overarching themes that everyone can apply to, because remember, if we say it, there's very small chance of it becoming canon at some point, because people say, well, you said this, and then they take one part. So that's why I'm so harsh about, like, nailing down, the number 6. This card's got 6 in it, or 666, or no. It's like, and another thing is that when we look at this image, we've got Hebrew mythology, we've got Egyptian mythology, we've got Grecian mythology. These guys were all enemies. These guys were not friends. So Waite can't go back in and just make them all, unified. That's not the way it works. This grand unification theory of metaphysics.
That's where I was going
with
it, though, because I see her as open-minded and tolerant of everybody's religions, and she's not just going to discount something because it doesn't fit her mythology. Right.
And that's nice as far as one possible interpretation of this. But if we try to paint our picture, and I'm glad you brought this up, this is a problem with so many tarot readers. If we paint our face, our picture, our belief system onto tarot cards, we're going to have tarot cards that mean like 2 or 3 things. And now we've got a card of 78, 78 cards that mean 2 or 3 things, and there's no way that the deck can now represent the innumerable, tens of thousands of things that can happen to us every single day. So those are all awesome points, Sharon, and I want people to take that into account when they see this card, and also use their own intuitive abilities, not to make things up, but to try to better understand the nature of this card so that when they are applying it to a particular person and in a particular situation, we're not just using rote memorization, or we're not using what somebody else said or that we heard in a study group, but we are understanding the energy behind the card. And again, once you can understand the zen of this all, once you can understand the energy of these cards, then individual interpretations becomes easy.
I have a...
No.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry. Shall I go? Can I just say another little observation about these two cards, as they sort of come as a bit of a pair, but I feel that the magician, it's kind of like he's got everything, in a sense, he's got everything on show that he works with, you know, because it's all there on the table, whereas I kind of like feel there's some significance with her, possibly, with that curtain behind her, that there's hidden things going on with her.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good point. I like it, and it is reinforced by what we already know. Well, you guys have studied astrology with me.
Yeah.
You understand that this is a projection of the masculine versus the feminine polarity of energy, and I have to say that was a very good pull. So this shows us that the magician represents things that are much more overt. Like if this came up in a this or that spread, you know, it's like, should I do this or that?
Yes.
And when we had like magician, high priestess, in addition to everything else we just said, as you mentioned, we can see that the magician shows a path of being more overt, more on display, more, dare I say, even talkative or blatant, where the high priestess doesn't reveal. What do they say? A good magician never reveals his secrets. She's much less showy. Now, granted, the chariot is far more showy than either one of them, but she keeps her secrets to herself. Again, masculine, meaning projective, like to speak, and feminine, like to listen. So absolutely, she is much more subtle, and that's another thing. Even like she would have a much more subtle, gentle touch.
Yeah.
So this is, folks, listening in. Hopefully, you're taking notes on this. This is how we give, you know, world-class readings. This is why we get a couple $100 when we do readings, is because we sit here and we examine what the card's energy is beyond the picture, and we see how the different cards interweave and interconnect, which is why, again, we have Academy Easy Tarot Lessons start for $8. If you stick around, it's going to be $11 a week. That's pretty damn cheap for any form of instruction, especially when we pair you up, you know, with study buddies and get you in study groups where you can exercise your voice and you can listen and you can interact with people in a live setting pretty much right around the clock. But whether you go to our school or not, this is what we want you to do, because our industry is in desperate need of repair. We need better readers. We need people who aren't going to embarrass themselves or make us look bad. Weren't we just talking about the other day, maybe last week, licenses and permits?
Yes.
What was that, Sharon?
Wow. I did a podcast on it. I'm doing the write-up, but I'll be posting that soon. We did a podcast on it. There's a store in Chicago.
What's that episode called so that people can find it?
I do not have a name for it yet. That's why I still need to do the write-up.
Oh,
but
okay.
It will have permit in the write-up or in the title. It will have permit.
Well, give us a teaser, please.
There's a store in Chicago that somebody called a complaint on, and a state inspector went and saw a small paper. It was just an 8x11 saying that they do tarot readings, and he ticketed them because they didn't have a fortune-telling license. And I looked it up, and there are quite a few states and cities that are starting to get fortune-telling licenses. Texas, Annapolis, Maryland, some places in Michigan. In fact, in order to get the permit, a lot of the areas want a background check, a police background check, and it's because of the scammers and poor readers that are out there that are giving the rest of us a bad name.
So that's the state. I've been predicting this for. Hey, look at that! I've been predicting it, but I've been this. Yeah, everybody can see this on the wall. But I've been predicting this, and I've been harping on this. If you, who are listening, and on all of us, if you just take the time to do your job properly. Now, some people will say, "Well, I'm never going to read for anybody." Well, we'll see about that. But for right now, yeah. So let's say you're not going to read for anybody. It's still worth doing well. It's worth the effort of learning and practicing a little bit. But Mandy, isn't that interesting how that draconian day has come where the government has had to get involved to protect the public. You know, from the quote evil psychic, which really is nothing against readers. I mean, they're giving fortune telling licenses. That's a good thing. They're not saying you can't do it, but they're saying we've got to protect the public.
I don't understand. I mean, I haven't heard your podcast, Sharon, or I've never researched this, but I don't understand on what basis you can give a reading to someone. Like, how is it judged? Do you know what I'm saying?
We could do a whole other podcast right here. They don't know. One of the things that really distressed me was, and I don't know of any other business, so correct me if I'm wrong, Dusty, they have to go within a 250-foot radius to every business and residential home and let them know what they're doing so those people can protest against it if they don't want it in their area.
Oh, wow. Wait. That's like a registered sex offender, right? You got to go knock on people's doors.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And that's when
Why do I know that fact? That's scary.
Has some ideas of what you can do to make it right. I mean, because we do need that regulation so we can get rid of the scammers and the con artists, but it shouldn't be so strict that we're made to look like criminals.
Yeah, because I mean, to be honest, I've got a license to do my market stall at Cambridge Market. That's I had to apply for a license and they granted me it, and I had to have insurance and all that sort of thing. But if it was left for people to kind of say, no, we don't want this here, I know from the born again certain religions. I'm not going to say that.
Certain religions.
Yeah, and have come up and said, I had one this very week. I've had it quite a few times saying, can I come in and pray over you? It seems like you need redemption. I went, no, thanks.
And not only...
He said to me, but, they would be the sort of people that could close you down, whereas the majority of people are either very happy that you're there or are not bothered that you're there.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
They're not going to say anything. Do you know
I know of no other business that has to do that. And not only churches, but other tarot readers in that area can shut you down.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It can be very vindictive. So the point here that I want to bring up is it is essential for every one of us to just do a good job. Look, my attitude and my solution to this is get trained. That's what we do. All right, for people who don't want to get trained, can't help you. But at least go out, and whether you're reading for yourself or other people, or you're reading under the table because you say, I don't read for other people, but you end up doing so anyway, do your best. And you know what? Think at all times of what your client, that would be whoever you're reading for, whether they're paying you or not, what they're experiencing, what value are they getting from this. The best way that we can prevent even harsher rules coming in. I don't even like the term fortune teller's license, but that kind of tells us how the government thinks of us, you know. So really make it a point to develop and practice your art. And if you don't go to my school, go to somebody else's school. If you don't go to school, at least, for the love of Christ, grab a friend, get some practice. You know, practice with other people. Don't just try to learn the tarot by yourself. I did that for 15 years, and it was brutal. And I made all the mistakes in the world, read all the books, and they all said something different, and they all had bad advice, and I was trying to memorize cards. So, look, we've all been through this. We're just trying to save you a lot of time and hassle. But I wanted to tell you that the writing is on the wall. It is a real thing now that it's not just in Vegas. You got to have fortune tellers licenses or something equivalent in a lot of places. So definitely get to Sharon's podcast whenever she puts that up, and we'll keep you abreast on this. Ooh, well, that was our scary Halloween message, right?
That was scary.
God.
Well, look, I'm appreciate everybody being here. Happy Halloween whenever you hear this. Remember, Samhain is not Halloween. I believe this year it is on the 7th. Samhain is 15 degrees Scorpio. That is when you do your magical work. And, of course, Halloween is when you go out and play. Yay! You know, Samhain is your work. Halloween is for show. Do you guys have any thing you want to throw on this before we bail out of here?
No, this was great. I really enjoyed hearing about those 3 cards. Thank you.
Yes, really good.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is try to get through, we may have some detours, but we're going to try to get through and really help people understand the various cards again and again, because it's not hard, but you have to avoid inferior teaching. You will pay for it in the end. We all do. I did. Mandy did. Natasha did. Sharon did. Peggy did. Ish did. Matt did.
Yeah.
We all do. And then, so this is why we give away free. We're really trying to help everybody. All right. Hopefully we see you guys next week, and everybody have a safe, happy trick or treating. Bye for now.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank
Bye.
you, Jessica. Bye.
Happy Halloween.